Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Women Petpreneurs Podcast with your host, Mario Quendo. So, my guest today is a good friend of mine. Her name is Anjie Coates. Hi, Angie.
Hi.
And before we even get started, I want to congratulate her on something, and I'm going to let her tell you what it is. Go for it, Angie.
I am the first international master cat groomer for IPG.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay. And, actually, before we get started into what I want to talk about today, the hazards of grooming. We know this so well. So, Angie, what happened just before you did your certification?
Okay, so I was nervous and I I there was it's winter here in Massachusetts, very wintry. So there was like little salty footprints all over the cat room. And I was like, "Oh, I want it to be really nice for, because this is on Zoom. And so that way, if they see the floor is going to look really good." And I just walked in with all salty footprints. So I grabbed the 256 and cleaning rag, and I was on my hands and knees and I was washing the floor. And I had taken out my tools for the testing to, prep it. Everything was on the toolkit, it was all ready to go. And I left the toolkit drawer open, metal toolkit drawer. So I'm washing the floor, scrubbing it all up nice, and I smacked my head on the metal toolkit and um yeah, I sliced it open like really good. So blood is dripping down in my face in a sheet. So the owners of the cat who just dropped him off like 10 minutes prior were still at the front desk, and my assistant Angie came in to support me and help me move the camera around, and so that way everything was on Zoom. And so I walked out and I was like, "Hey, Ange, can I borrow you for a second?" Now, mind you, my face is covered in blood. It's now dripping down my neck. And she's like, "Yeah, sure." Oh my God. So I just walk in the bathroom. She follows me in. And so I get my face cleaned up. She grabs a cloth, get my face cleaned up. She dumps alcohol on my head. And she's like, "Oh, do you need stitches?" And I'm like, "Nah, I don't know." And she's like, "All right, well, if you do, we'll do that later." And because Angie does my stitches for me, um, I don't go to the doctor. Angie just does it because I'm allergic to all local anesthetics. So there's no point in paying someone $400 for them to him and ha over my stitches when Angie can do it for free, and I have all the stuff to do it. And she's done lots of stitches for me because I'm kind of a klutz.
You
And
When you told me that, I felt the bump because as a mobile groomer, my original van had doors that opened out. So it was the two doors. And when they open out like that, it has that little latch. And the latch is, I hit that thing so many times, I hit the paint off. There was like no more paint on it. I wore the paint off of it.
I would do that. I would do that. Like most of my cupboards and things have rubber baby bumpers on them, like the little, like all the corners on all my cupboards because I have previously smashed my head open on those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it isn't just, working with animals that's the problem or can cause injuries for us. It's not watching what we're doing.
Yes, because we're freaking out because this is it. I mean, this was the test. This was the final test. It was, for all the dough, all the money, all the peanuts, whatever you want to call it. This was it. And I wanted to throw up and cry before the test because I was so nervous. And yeah, so instead I smashed my head open.
Okay. Whatever works for you, Angie.
But the test went really good. Angie got me all cleaned up before. So I looked presentable, and I didn't look like I was a, a victim of some crime. And everything went off. I logged in right on time. Everything went off without a hitch. It was all good. Cat came out beautiful. They were happy. I was happy. I cried when she told me, and I got 100 on my written test.
Very good. Okay. So, what I wanted to talk to you about, a couple of things, but let's talk first specifically about rabbit grooming. 'Cause you know what? It is an up and coming niche in our industry. And I think as business owners, we should always be aware of things on the horizon. So, if I was to go back, I don't know, 40 years, okay, and grooming is different. It was different 40 years ago. You know what?
Oh
It
yeah,
was 40 years before that. It was different 40 years before that. Um, and I think truly successful people pay attention to the trends that are coming up so that you are prepared to to take advantage of them. I had a client years, and this is coming up on a really one of the bad recessions that we had, and I'm going to guess this was like 10, 15 years ago. Okay.
probably 2008.
I think 2008. Okay. And she knew she was going to be let go from her job. Right. Yeah. But they had an education package for her. So she took that time that she was laid off. Right? She went back to school. All right. And she opened up a new business for when that she was ready to launch when the recession cleared.
Nice.
All right. So the point being is that no matter how like bad like something seems coming towards you, look at it for what it is. Okay. And was things a little tough for them? Yeah, because she lost her job.
Yeah,
You know, she was able to get unemployment. She got an education package. They tightened their belt, and the husband was still working. And so it allowed her on her downtime, since she didn't have to go into work, right, to go back to school, get another degree, and start a business. And it was on tutoring. So she was a teacher already. So she got a business degree and set up her own business.
that's fantastic.
Right. So back to rabbit grooming. Okay. How many rabbits are in the United States, Angie?
Roughly 9 million. They are actually the third most popular pet in the US at this time.
All right. So I think the most popular pet is actually cats,
Yep, then dogs, then bunnies.
then bunnies. All right. So your top three. So many of the shops are not even grooming the number one pet, which is cats, and
Yeah,
doing really well. All right. So when we sit and tell you that, hey, you know what, you can go cat exclusive, we're not kidding. You can go cat exclusive. There are more cats than dogs.
yep. Yeah, I'm going cat bunny only. Um, and I have 1 or 2 days a week now that I'm doing dogs, and it's only my seniors, and I've groomed them their whole lives, every 4, 5, 6 weeks, and they're 13, 14, 15, 18, and 19 or 20. Um, and I've done it their whole lives. I can't pass them to someone else because most of them have I, you know, sight issues. Most of them are deaf. They've done it my way every time their entire life. So to switch them to somebody else and say, "Oh, we're just doing it a whole new way now." That's a bit much to ask of a dog of that age in for me to ask them. I can't. So as they pass, I'm not filling those dog spots, and then I'll move just cat money only.
Okay. So, but you enjoy doing cats and you enjoy doing rabbits.
I love it. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
But the point I'm going to make is don't go cat exclusive if you don't like cats.
No, no, you have to really like it. Because but cats are so different. It's a whole different
Species?
species, but it's a different way of grooming cats to grooming dogs. You know, they're different.
All
And
right.
grooming bunnies is very different than cats or dogs. Hi, Pooh.
He was
Pooh Bear's
sleeping.
here.
Yep. So hi, Poo Poo. He's like, whatever. All right. So, um, how did you first get started with grooming rabbits?
Okay, so it was actually not because of rabbits that I started grooming rabbits. Um, all right, so there was this woman came in. I was working in a salon, and she brought this little. It was like almost like a little purse, and it was very pretty. And she put it up on the half door, and she said, "Hi, um, I need a haircut for my guinea pig because it was an Abyssinian satin, which is a long-haired guinea pig, and their fur grows and grows and grows." And I said, I don't have any familiarity with guinea pigs and haircuts. Um, this was back when the internet was new and there was sites like GeoCities, but the internet wasn't like it is today, where you could find anything and everything on there. It was just pages really people had put together, so there wasn't much for the information on there. And so this guinea pig's name was Rumble. And I said, okay, I'll tell you what, give me a week to research guinea pig grooming. And I'll have you come in next, whatever day it was, Thursday, Friday, whatever. So she said, okay. So I went to the library and I checked out like 30 books. It was, and they were all small mammal. So it was guinea pigs, rabbits, ferrets, this kind of thing, all in one book. And I got a notebook at the CVS on my way home and I filled it. This is guinea pigs, this is rabbits, this is ferrets, this is all the stuff from all the books. And I just wrote everything down. So there wasn't a ton of grooming information, but it was enough about, hey, this is how not to kill these animals. I was like, oh yes, I like this information. This is good, all good info. And so then Rumble came in and he became a monthly thing. And I actually started growing parsley for him in the salon because that was his happy treat. And Rumble did yoga. His mom was a yoga instructor. And so I went to yoga classes. And the entire class, I was watching Rumble. And his mom's like, Angie. And I'm like, right. What am I doing? Because I was distracted by watching the guinea pig do the yoga that I forgot what I was supposed to do because I was just like, oh, he's so cute. Look at these. He's, and he would do the poses like he did downward dog and he did mountain pose. I mean, as much as a guinea pig can, because I mean, his arms don't do that. But it was amazing. It was just the most amazing thing. So I still suck at yoga, but there were a lot of other people in the class who had guinea pigs and bunnies and ferrets and things like this. And there were because I was the one that gave Rumble his haircut, and I went to go be bad at yoga a lot. Um, they started bringing me their pets. So that's how the rabbit grooming started because I was grooming the rabbits from the class. And so I started doing the bunnies, and then I went to another salon, and there was no space for that. I mean, the tables were so close together, and there's, like, dogs over there, and there wasn't a separate area. Because when I was working in that salon, when I started doing Rumble, a lot of days I just worked by myself or with an assistant, and so I didn't have that option there. And I couldn't come in on a day where no one else was working to give them that accessibility. So I stopped doing bunnies for a little while. But then when I opened my shop, I was like, okay, this is going to be the cat bunny room. And my assistant Angie was like, we are going to take all the bunnies. And I'm like, yes, all the bunnies everywhere. And we did. And I have hundreds of them, literally hundreds of bunnies that come to me for either nail trims or brush outs or haircuts. And it's
Okay.
awesome.
All right. So one thing I really want to commend you on is that there was an area in education for groomers, and there was a big void when it comes to rabbit grooming.
And a lot of misinformation too. So I wanted to fix that.
And so you wrote a book.
So I wrote a book and
Tell us
I
about
took
the book.
all the information that I had compiled over the years, um, and all my experiences grooming rabbits, and I wrote a book, and then I sent it to 2 different vets and asked them to please review it, and they did. And then they said, "Oh, you need to add this, and oh, put that in, and oh, do this." So I did all those things, and they said, "Oh no, this is good. I like this. This is, but it needs to be more than just for groomers. It needs to be for pet owners too, because this is really, it's got everything." And it was actually the name of the book is the Quintessential Rabbit Book, because one of the vets said to me, he's like, "Really, this is the Quintessential Rabbit Book." So I had talked to my Gram later that day, and I said, "Yeah, he said it was the Quintessential Rabbit Book." And she said, "Oh, well, what are you going to call it, honey?" And I said, "I have no idea. I I don't know." And I said, I got a couple ideas, but I don't really like any of them." And she said, "You have the name." And I was like, "Uh, I do, I do." She said, "Sweetheart, it's the Quintessential Rabbit Book." And I was like, "Yeah, that's what he said." And she's like, "No, honey, that's the name. You have your title right there." And I was like, "Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah."
All right. So I'm a big believer in being like to the point when you are doing something. All right. So that when someone picks up a book and goes, oh, which I have right here, the Quintessential Rabbit Book. Okay. That tells me all I need to know what's in this book just by the title. I don't have to guess what's in here.
Yep. It's all literally all in there.
And one of the things I'm going to say that I really like about this book is the font that you used for the text. I can read it just fine without glasses.
That was the point, because that was like my big thing when I was talking to my layout person. And I said, if groomers need to have this, because there's step by step grooming instructions for short coated bunnies, long haired bunnies, for brush outs, for clipper cuts, uh, comb cuts, scissor over comb cuts, literally step by step. So if they need that on their table while they're grooming, they need to be able to see it without putting glasses on, taking glasses off, putting glasses on, taking glasses off. I want them to just be able to read it. And she was like, "Yeah, I can do that. No problem." And then she did.
Yeah, Jamie's awesome, isn't she?
She is incredible. She is incredible, and she has such great energy. And every day there was emails back and forth, and she's like, "I woke up all excited because I was working on the bunny book today." And so I had a really good rapport with her. She was absolutely phenomenal, and she made the whole process really easy.
Yeah, I'm hoping to finish up Spirit's book before she retires.
Yes, you need to, because I'm hoping to also finish up Yes Dear before she retires.
Yeah, so anyway, I got 12 chapters written,
Nice.
but they're short chapters. They're
Sure.
not chapters.
Yeah.
There's 12 stories done. Well,
Yep.
first draft. We got a little way to go. I need to hoof it a little bit. So anyway, so in addition to helping, take this niche market, which is such an untapped market, 9 million rabbits, right? I know you're offering education for that.
Yes. Yes, I have, an entire certification program. Um, so level 1 is basically rabbit assistant, where and you can learn how to do, like, rabbit nails. It teaches you handling and how not to kill a rabbit, because rabbits are basically blown glass with fur, and if you do the wrong things, you can break their back, they can break their own back, um, they can develop GI stasis. Their digestive tract is tied very much to their stress level. So when they get overexcited, fearful, it turns off, like off, and nothing moves. And then the rabbit dies. So what we're doing in a salon, they may be quote unquote seem fine when they leave, but if their stress escalates to the point that, um, they're in terror or fear or thumping or freaking out, it may not be an issue in that moment, but when they go home, the owner will be like, what happened?" What happened is because of the how they were handled, they developed GI stasis. And if it's caught early, it can be treated, but if the owner doesn't notice, then they die, because when your digestive system ceases to function, you turn septic and you die. That's how it works. Um, so there's a lot of different ways that you can kill a rabbit. Um, so the book covers all of that, and it's additionally in the level 1 course for rabbit assistants, because a rabbit assistant's job, I always recommend people do rabbit grooming in twos. Because a rabbit assistant's job is to soothe and maintain a good environment for the rabbit. Whatever the rabbit needs, that's their deal. The groomer's job is to groom the rabbit. So if that rabbit needs soothing, that's what they do. If that rabbit needs to be lifted, that's what they do. Whatever it is that that rabbit is required to and need requires and needs, that's their job. And then level 2 is short-coated bunnies, because, you have to deal with molt seasons and things like this. You have to know how to properly brush them out without creating balding, because that's another issue when it comes to grooming. Um, Groomers over pluck and over brush, and then you have a bunny with bald spots on the short-coated rabbits. And then there's the long-haired rabbits, and there's the brush out and the, clipper haircut and the clipper comb haircut and the scissor over comb haircut. And so that's level 3, and then level 4 is the last one, and that is the inevitable matting, the pelted grooms, because every single groomer who is grooming rabbits, the first time you get an Angora, French English giant, um, some of the lion heads, some of the Jersey woolies, the first time you see them, they are pelted to the skin. It's literally like a turtle shell, and you have to peel that off, but you have to know how, and you have to have good clipper control, because you're shaving a raisin. Rabbit skin is not smooth like a dog's skin. It's very wrinkly. So if you don't know their anatomy, if you don't know the layout of their body, if you don't know the spots that will cut, you're gonna slice them to pieces, because their skin is, much like a cat's, and it moves about, over their muscular layer. So they're amazing, and their bodies are amazing, but you need to know all there is to know about them in order not to hurt them.
Okay. And if somebody wants to go further with rabbit, how do they get a hold of you?
You can find me on Facebook. Um, you can look up either the Quintessential Rabbit Book, message me there. You can message me, Anjie Coates. It's Angie with a J. And you can also find me um, on Positive Ed. And if you want to do in person, I have a lot of groomers that come to learn in person. They come to my salon, and for 2 days, all we do, and if you want to come for one, that's fine. If you're just starting out, but most come for two, and it's you come to my salon, and I book back to back rabbits for like 8 hours, and we groom bunnies, piles and piles of bunnies.
Good. Good
So,
to
like 20 bunnies in 2 days, 18 to 20 bunnies in 2 days.
All right. So before we go any further, we're going to take a quick commercial break. And we're back. So the other thing I wanted to talk to you about is that there's a lot of pet professionals who have a lot of knowledge, and this knowledge really needs to get out to groomers. Okay. Part of the problem is that sometimes you just, well, I don't, I'm not a good teacher. I don't know how to teach, whatever. All right. But there's like this fear that you're going to be ridiculed, all right, or that the knowledge you have isn't as good as you think it is. And I will say all knowledge is good, but there's also the thing is that, well, I don't want to sell. I mean, how can I ask people for money? All right, it's the same way you ask people for money for grooming. It's a business. All right.
Yep.
And if you want to educate, then please do so. All right. I'm a full-time educator. I don't groom anymore. I haven't groomed in 3 years. All right. We're pretty soon going to be hitting 4 years, Angie, that I've been retired from grooming. My dogs are lucky they get a bath.
But your shoulders don't hurt and your
My
back doesn't hurt.
shoulders
And
doesn't hurt.
you're
My back doesn't hurt. My
happy.
wrist. Okay. It's wonderful. Okay. And you know what? And I have 4 dogs here. And if I have to give 4 dogs a bath, doesn't mean I have to do them all back to back. It means Monday I do one and Tuesday I do another. And we always start with the easy one. The easy one is Pooh Bear. I can do anything to this dog.
You don't say.
Yeah. You know, it'd be Pooh, you taking a bath. And he says, but I don't want to take a bath. He says, well, you could take a bath. I'm like, I don't want to. But they're like, okay, I'll take a bath.
The only time I've ever seen him the least bit irritated is when you were wearing the wrong sweatshirt.
Oh, yeah, he was pissed.
He was so mad.
Yeah.
He literally just fit to be tied.
Yeah, see, this sweatshirt here has this nice little fluffy lining, okay? And the other sweatshirt, well, it was soft, but it did not have this fluffy lining. He was annoyed.
I had never seen him. He was literally irritated. You could
Yes.
just see it all over his face. He's just like, oh, I can't even with this. I can't believe I have to deal with this.
Yeah. Yeah, we're talking about you. But selling, all right? You sell your grooming services, right? It is the same concept, all right?
Yeah.
And if people don't know who you are, then let them know who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And yeah, it can be really scary to put yourself out there and take a post and put your picture on it.
Yep.
Okay. I just made Angie do that.
Yep.
Okay. And you know what? And I struggle with that too. But I look at other people and they got their pictures there, and I don't think anything of that,
Yeah, you're right.
you know? So, but that's like this internal dialogue that you have.
And there are going to be haters.
Oh, yes, please.
There will always be haters. There are always going to be people that are going to tell you. Now, the information in my book was reviewed by two separate veterinarians, And my class was I did an hour-long interview with a veterinarian who backs up everything that's in all my courses and in my book and everything else. And still people tell me, "Well, no, because I have," and I'm like, "Dude, I can give you 6 veterinary studies that show you they're all in the bibliography that what I'm saying is correct." And they're like, "No, but I've never done it that way." Okay. And so, yeah, you're always gonna there's always gonna be naysayers and haters and people that are gonna be like, "Meh, don't don't entertain them.
Okay.
Just don't. It's not worth it."
And it's easier. And the reason for that is that if somebody can do something, if somebody can write a book, okay, then there's no reason why you can't write a book.
Mm,
But there's a lot of work, a lot of time and effort goes into that. And sometimes it can be easier to tear down that person who wrote the book rather than get out of your own way and write your own book. It's easier to do that.
yeah,
So when someone is taking the easy route, trying to tear you down, not paying any attention to it.
it's not worth your time. It's really
Not
not.
time and effort. And I know that's easier said than done. I know that. Okay. But you know what? We've all been in that position and will tell you, you're better off just keep on working. I don't have the time to deal with that. All right. So I have like 1,000 things on my to-do list I have to do. Why am I going to entertain negativity when instead I could be taking care of my to-do list?
Yeah.
All right. So Angie needs to get herself out there. Okay. So she has to start letting people know that she is the rabbit expert. Because why should I buy your book? Okay. For what reason? What makes you different than anybody else that's been grooming rabbits forever? Okay.
Well, do you want me to
Tell
tell you?
me. Yes, tell me.
Okay. All right. Um, a lot of time, energy, research, and everything in my book and everything in the way I teach rabbit grooming is not only best practice by the veterinarians that I have discussed it with, and there's one that is rabbit exclusive. That's all he does is rabbits. Another one, out of the 3 vets, she is small mammal, and the 3rd one is actually involved in the grooming industry, as well as having raised, bred, and shown rabbits.
And who is that?
That's Dr. Cliff Faber,
Okay, so
and
somebody that, you know what, somebody within the pet industry who can give credibility.
yeah, and he read it, and, he was the one that said, "Oh, you need to put in digestion, and, while you're there, put in this, and while you're there, put in that," and I did. And, it made the book better. It
Okay.
just did.
All right. So what Angie is doing, and this is good practices for anyone running any type of business. Okay. First of all, it's a business. Is it a business, Angie?
Absolutely.
Okay. And because it's a business, it means that you need to charge accordingly for the services that you provide, for the workshops you provide, for the book. All of that has to be accounted for. Okay. So, do you have sort of like a business plan for this end of your business?
Oh, absolutely. That
Oh,
is literally the first thing I wasn't even done with the book. I think I was on, like, chapter 2, and then okay, so Mary made me business plan crazy. I have business plans for everything. Um, and sometimes couple well, 4 or 5 times, I had these great ideas. And I would write up a business plan, and then I go, "That's not a good idea because
no,
that's not gonna work. I can't make any money at that because it's costing me too much to be able to do that."
right.
So,
All right. So the value of a business plan. All right. So you think, well, I'll just charge this because this is what everyone else is charging. And I'm going to tell you, please don't do that. Never concern yourself with whatever it is somebody else is charging. Personally, I always like to be on the higher end anyway. All right.
Well, when it comes to my grooming, I am absolutely on the higher end, especially when it comes to cats and bunnies.
Right. So if you don't know what something cost you to do, then how can you charge appropriately? Because what a business does is it sustains your life. It's not a hobby. Hobby sustains your soul. Hobby, you don't care if you're making money. All right.
Right.
So if you're friends with me on Facebook and you're seeing all those crystal lanyards I'm making, understand I'm not making any money on those things.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a hobby. It's fun. I like to do it. It's creative. All right. But I'm not concerned with pricing things out. I want to walk into Michael's and go, ooh, skulls. In fact, I got one sitting on my desk here. So that if you're watching YouTube, can we see that?
That's cool.
And I bought all the ones they that Michael's had. There wasn't a lot, but you know what? I'm going, ooh, I like those. I could have fun with those and not be concerned with, I can only buy two and then I still have to watch. Is it on sales? And I don't have to do that because that's a hobby. That's the difference between a business and a hobby. Okay. A business is that you're going to make money at it. It needs to sustain your life. You got bills to pay. You have food to put on the table. You have a retirement to think of. You have vacation. There's so much that a business is supposed to do. And I think the reason that I was told back in the beginning that you could not make a living teaching was because for those that were teaching at the time, they didn't consider it a business. They weren't approaching it as if it was a business. And I think that's where the difference lies. It's a business. So you approach it as a business. So how do I make this work? Okay. And one of the reasons is, especially in an industry where you're going based on your reputation. Okay. So you need to let people know that you're qualified to teach this and you are the best person to teach it. And these are my prices. And then that's the way it goes. Right. So how do you get this out there? All right. That's marketing. Marketing can be as much work as the actual program you're creating.
If not more.
Yeah. Because if no matter how good it is, it's not the field of dreams. It's not, oh, I have this great program and everyone's just gonna come running over to me because it's just a great program. No, they're not. No, it doesn't work that way.
No.
All right. So they have to know, and that is marketing. Okay. So being as Angie's is a grooming type of education. All right. So the best place for that is one of three places. That's Instagram, TikTok, or Facebook. So you have to let people know what it is you're doing and how much this applies to, how much this can apply to you. So Angie, as far as getting your name out there, how are you doing that?
Posting. I'm involved with okay, so somebody will post something about rabbits and they'll be like, my phone blows up. Boom, 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 boom. Because other people, I have reached so many that at this point, anytime the word rabbit pops up in a lot of these grooming groups, I've got tags like blowing up my phone.
Right. And that's what you're looking for. You want your name to be synonymous with whatever it is that they're talking about. Oh, that's me. You want people to start tagging you for that. All right. But again, it's communication. If you have to let people know, it's not only communication, it's community. It's being involved in the community. And where you find that community, All right. You find that community on social media. You find that community at trade shows.
Yep.
Right. You find that community on online workshops. Right. So wherever it is, you have to let people know that you are very qualified to teach us. And just because somebody, I had this question, was every time I think of an idea, someone else comes up with it. And I'm like, so what?
You may do it differently.
They do it differently. I remember being at, and I think it might have been Hershey, but I could be mistaken about it. But there was like a Bichon day. There was like the whole day was just Bichon classes taught by different instructors. So it wasn't even like four instructors getting together to teach one class. It was four separate workshops by four separate instructors, all on Bichon, four classes on Bichon. And you know
Yeah.
what? All four of those classes were different,
Yeah.
different perspective.
Well, okay. So, what kind of car do you drive, Mary?
My car is a Toyota. Toyota
Okay. I have
Sienna.
a Ford, and my assistant Angie has a Honda, and Ashley has my groomer Ashley has a Jeep. They're all different. They're all cars. None of them are. Everybody's going to have their favorite. Okay. But if after Henry Ford made his car, everybody else said, "Oh, somebody already did it," then there would only be Ford,
Yeah.
and there would never
That's
have been
actually a really
anything
good
else.
analogy, by the way.
Thank you. So there's more than one way to do the same thing.
Yes. All right. I can remember now. I have a salon sanitation class. Okay. I have a 4 hour one. You know who also has a 4 hour class? Angie. You know who also has another 4 hour class? Karina Stanworthy. All right. And you know what? They're really good classes.
They're all different.
They're all a little bit different because the focus of the person teaching it has a different focus. It's
Yeah.
what they think is important. And there's actually another one too, and I never get a chance to sit in on it because they always schedule it for when I'm teaching the pet first aid class. They have one at Atlanta Pet Fairs.
I want to take that one.
Yes,
I can't remember his name.
veterinarian. It's a veterinarian that does it.
Yeah, I can't come up with it, but I want to see that class because I've never taken that class
Yep.
because every time it's there, I'm teaching a class or yeah, so I haven't been able to
You
take it.
literally yelled at Janelle, "Why are you doing this to me? I want to take this class." All right. But anyway, but the point being, all right, I've taught a class, I've taken two other sanitations. Why would I want to take another class? Because it's being taught by a different perspective.
Yeah. I want to know what's your take? Tell me what you think. And, I want to know.
Right?
I don't just take one class on skin and coat because everybody has a different perspective.
Yep.
So tell me all the perspectives. And then I can take a piece from this and a piece because they're all good.
Yeah.
I can take a piece of each of them and make my own quilt of knowledge.
Yeah. And just on that note, June, is it June? June summit for positive educational training will be skin and coat.
Is it June?
Is it June?
I thought it was May.
Hold on. July is safety and sanitation. May is business.
Oh,
June is skin and coat.
okay.
And it's being taught by some of the best people in the industry. And they all have a different way of doing things. And
Yeah,
that's great because I want to see different ways of things because for some things that they're talking about may not be something feasible for me to do.
right.
Right. I think mud is great. I don't want to mix my own mud products. Give me something else. Okay.
What else you got?
What else? What else you got that I can do?
Yeah.
Ooh, salts? Yeah, let's talk about that. You know? So don't be just think because someone else is teaching what it is you're teaching, that you don't have value. You do have value. You just have to, if you're going to do something with as a business, you have to treat it like a business. And for teaching, what that is setting yourself up as the authority. Okay. Don't be afraid to submit your workshop to Barkley.
Do it.
Do it. In fact, specifically, it is Chanel at Barkley.com. Submit it. You know what the worst thing they're going to say is no. That's
Well,
it.
here's the thing. Every time I go to a trade show, so many people say, "Oh, it's the same classes all the time. There's nothing different. If you want to see something different, do something different."
Yeah.
So do something from a different perspective. It's
Yeah.
always the same people. So be the new person.
Yeah.
Be the person that hasn't done it yet. I was the new person that hadn't done it yet.
Yeah.
And be that person. Be the new class. Be the new class on something that you're interested in.
You
But
know?
those classes are never going to happen unless people do them and create them and then submit them.
Yeah. One thing that I love about Barkley is Barkley does give speakers opportunities. Because
Yeah.
there was a time when I was a new speaker. All right. And what I wanted to do is I did not want to be I did not want to do a demo on Bichons. No, it's not what I wanted to do. And so I was looking at topics that really weren't um, what's the word I want to use? Well represented at trade shows. Okay. I
Sure.
wanted the business classes, wanted safety classes, I wanted sanitation classes. That's what I wanted to do. All right. And Barkley gave me that opportunity to do those business and those safety classes. And for that, I'm grateful for.
Hmm.
Right. But they took a chance on somebody who was not well known in the industry.
Yeah.
So,
And they
and,
did the same for my rabbit
yeah.
course too.
And the same thing with cats, cat grooming, mobile grooming, all of these house calls. All of these were like not well represented until someone submitted to Barkley, hey, I want to do this. All right. And also at Positive Ed, I will give people an opportunity. All
Gave
right.
me an opportunity. That's how this whole ball of wax got started
Yeah.
rolling downhill.
All right. Submit something to me and I'll see where it might fit in upcoming summits. Right now, I'm looking going into August. So, submit something to me. The worst thing it's going to say is that you know what, I don't have room for this right now. That's the worst I'm going to tell you. So, words of wisdom, Angie.
These are not my words. They're actually my grandfather's. But when I was little, he asked me to do something. And I was very small as a child. Like I was always the shortest in class, the smallest in class. And I said, I can't do that. It's impossible. And he said, "Oh, no, no. Nothing is impossible. You just haven't done it yet."
Yeah.
So I was like, "Oh, okay." So then I tried to do whatever it was that he wanted me to do. And I think it was something as simple as move one of the feed cans that weighed probably almost as much as I did. But I did it. And I was like, "Wow, I did that." So that kind of stuck with me. And that's kind of how I've lived my entire life, that nothing is impossible. I just haven't done it yet.
Yeah. Sometimes you just have to you just haven't figured out how to do it.
Right.
When I first launched Positive Ed, all right, I will tell you I made every mistake possible. If it was if it was a mistake, it was ready for me to make it. Okay.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
called life.
it's called life. But it also was, I had a different mindset about it, meaning that Yeah, that did not work. Let's not do that again. Okay. Let's try something different. Oh, that, well, some of it worked, but some of it didn't work. So let's try something different. All right. And those flat out, oh, yeah, that was really bad. Glad I'm not all that well known in the industry just yet. Like this one sucks.
Well, sometimes you hit your head on the toolkit.
Yeah. Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah. So, anyway, Angie, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to be here. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
All right, and everybody join us next week when I interview another woman making a difference in the pet industry.